Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome. Please turn to somebody near you, give them an elbow bump or a tushy bump or a wave or, there you go, whatever, a COVID, whatever. Hello. That's it. Yes, you can rain sweetness down on them or whatever it is that we do these days. I don't know, it's all weird, right? And Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are joining us from your homes in San Francisco or your home maybe in Guatemala. I don't know, Laura, are you with us? Or your homes, wherever it is that you are outside, we welcome you to our beautiful sanctuary here. I'm Rabbi Jessica Graff, together with Cantor Toby Glazer. We are thrilled to be in the sanctuary. And for those of you who are here, or maybe Zach, Peter, you can even swing a camera to this gorgeous window with the sun coming through at the end of our week. It looks really magnificent, all lit up with the sun from behind. So for those of you who are not in the sanctuary, you can enjoy a moment of God giving the Ten Commandments to Moses under Half Dome in Yosemite, as I like to say, the true story of the giving of the Ten Commandments. I'd like to invite Judy Wexler to join us on the bima to share some words of welcome on behalf of the Board of Trustees. And Judy, you left your stunning scarf down there. You have on your beautiful dress, but the two-tone scarf looks so pretty too.
Tonight it's actually warm enough to wear a summer dress. This is the one day in the whole year that I've actually gotten to feel like it was summer. So I'm Judy Wexler. I am a member of the Board of Trustees, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you all of you who are here and all of you who are out there, into this fabulous space. In a world that always feels now very fragmented, it's a special joy to be able to come together in this space of peace, of reflection, of thoughtful reflection, of beautiful moving music, and of community. And such a gift that we can come together and have this kind of break from our daily lives and do it together. So welcome. And it's a pleasure to see all of you, and I look forward to seeing you in all of the other things that we have going on at the synagogue, because there's a lot happening over the next few weeks and lots of ways for us to be together and to learn and to grow. So Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for being a fashionable and brilliant representative of our board. With no warning whatsoever, I wonder if another lady in black and white and her amazing wife here in the front would join us for the lighting of the candles in honor of a very special yard site tonight. And I did not give you any warning, so it's really from love for both of you and our community as you come back now to share with Israel after being on the East Coast to celebrate some really wonderful parents who gave you life and continue to sustain and inspire. The blessing for the lighting of our Shabbat candles is on page 2 in our Sidurim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Thank you.
We'll continue with the welcoming of the Shabbat angels on page 20. So we let the week go and just let Shabbat come in, represented by this light and the setting sun outside. We take a deep breath and bring community and peacefulness and rest and some beautiful, prayerful music into our Shabbat. Page 20.
Lecha dodi לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת לקבלה שמעו וזכור בדיבור אחד השמיענו אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד בשם התפארת ולקהילה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לך ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נצוחה סוף מעשה במחשבה תפילה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי באורך מגורי אורי אורי שיר דברי כבוד אדוני אלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה. We rise to greet the Shabbat angels. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה הנה שבת נקבלה.
We remain standing and turn to page 28 for Baruch Hu.
Yada dai dai dai, 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 yada dai dai dai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed, Le'olam va'ed. Yada dai dai dai, 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 yada dai dai dai.
We continue together at the top of page 33 as we read these words that I think represent how all of us feel at different times. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו וקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Whenever we come together, we remember the miracle that allowed us our freedom. It's what has continued to inspire us throughout all these generations and millennia, as we are so grateful to live as a free people and to ensure other people's freedom. We turn to page 40 for Micha Mocha.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זרי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי די 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 די, יאי די 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 די, יאי די 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 די, yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 yai dai 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 dai. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
We'll read together at the top of page 43 as we ask God with these words of Hashkivenu to help us lie down, to rest and to peace, and to lift us up again with renewed strength to be able to make our world a place that's full of rest and peace for everyone. Page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Yerushalayim.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. סוכת שלומך ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us daily wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen.
We turn now to page 253 for Misha Berach, when we come together as a community. The rabbis of old believed it was so important for us to pray for the healing of those in our community, those in our hearts whom we love, that it was okay even to ask for healing and for wholeness of God on Shabbat. So we interrupt God's rest for these really important words of petition, page 253.
Misheberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
On this Shabbat, we pray for the healing and the wholeness of Devorah, Shoshana Chana Asher, Jeremy Frick, Michael Gaines, Mikiko Wong, Nancy Igdala, whose knees are getting better, Adrian Christine, William Kurian, Leonid Londrarenko, Geraldo Mauricio de Nadai, Carolyn Resnikoff, Chris Romano, Agnes Rothblatt, Annette Wiener, and those whom you mention out loud now as we fill our sanctuary with the names of those for whom we pray tonight.
Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirits, and let us say, Amen.
We turn to page 46 as we prepare ourselves for our central tefillah, and as I look around, I know that for each of us, we come into this space in a different place and for different reasons. But for all of us, there's some sense of connecting to home. There's some return, for some more comfortable than for others, or more tentative or more needed at this moment. We come back together because it's a place where we can plug in and reconnect to each other, to our fears and our hopes, and to our own conversation with God. So take just a moment to set your own intention, and when you're ready, please stand and turn to page 46.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufiyagi tehilatecha, ufiyagi tehilatecha. Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai תהילתך ופייגי תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל ואלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל Amen. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Ooh,
Shalom.
Volume got turned up a little. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay, or am I muffled? We're good. Okay. All right. So over these last, I don't know, I've lost count now on the weeks, but we're 19, I think, months, something like that, into our second Torah cycle, right, around during the pandemic. And I've said over and over and over again during all of these weeks of reading Torah since the pandemic started, that our Torah portions seem particularly poignant or particularly meaningful or particularly to speak to us and have throughout this pandemic. In some cases, these ancient words that just seemed kind of removed from our modern life have zoomed into focus, no pun intended, and become kind of central and relevant in such a powerful way. Of all of the Torah portions that I could say that about, and it's most of them, I think this week's gets the gold medal. This week we read Parshat Lech Lecha, this Torah portion that has had much ink spilled, or to paraphrase what next week's bat mitzvah is going to refer to, quills wrote about this, pens wrote about this, and many computer keyboards have written about this. A lot has been talked about with this Torah portion and what these two words, Lech Lecha, might mean, the repetition of the same consonants, Lech Lecha, and literally go to yourself. God says to Avram, go to yourself. And we've all wondered over millennia what exactly that means. Lech Lecha me'artzecha mimoladetcha mi beit avicha, God says. Go from your land, me'artzecha, mimoladetcha, from the place of your birth, mi beit avicha, literally from your father's house or from the house of your parents, your family, from your comfortable place. And this week, as I read this Torah portion, it struck me that perhaps what God was saying was go out from all of your expectations. Go out from every single thing that you've come to expect to be a certain way. The way of your land, the way of the place of your birth, the way of your family's house. All expectations are off the table for you, Avram. And by the way, all of us here. Nothing is going to be the way you expected it to be. Nothing is going to be the way it was supposed to be, the way it's been for years, the way you thought you could count on. Seems kind of relevant to all of us as we continue to deal with a situation which has taken away everything that we expected to be the way it used to be. It's not that way anymore. This week I want to thank Lisa Erdberg for sending a really excellent article. I love reading excellent articles. And Lisa sent me one that explores specifically the way that pandemic lessons might apply to kids. But as I read this article a couple of times, I realized that the disappointment and the change in expectations, the change in life that the article describes, frankly applies to all of us. So I decided to just take the kids right out of this equation and apply this to all of us. Over these last 19 months, we've had to change everything that we imagined to be stable, to be solid footing. And as we come to this anniversary of the 1989 earthquake, it is safe for a native San Franciscan who was in the marina at the time to say what I found most disconcerting about the feeling of an earthquake. How many of you were here in 89? Okay, so, all right. So what was most disconcerting about that feeling at that time and about the aftershocks that continued for some time after was that the expectation that the ground would be there. If all else changed, the ground was going to be under my feet. Until it wasn't. Until it moved and it shifted. And the landfill and the silt that came up in the middle of the buckled streets and our street, Avila, all of a sudden showed that the strong structure that I always took for granted that I was standing on wasn't quite there in the way that I thought it was. So as we come to this earthquake anniversary weekend, this Lech Lecha weekend, I found this article had quite a lot to share. The author says that it's important for us as we consider how we're going to come through this pandemic, or how we look at the elements of the pandemic, to look for, as she says, light in the darkness. What are the places that even in this time of darkness we can look to? So many of us have tried, and I think the brilliance of this article was really about the way that we've handled trying to take away the disappointment or the unhappiness that this pandemic has caused children. But in truth, all of us have been forced to make a choice, to sit with the disappointment, to sit with the unhappiness, to sit with the expectations that aren't being met, or to turn them upside down and to look for light in the darkness, to be, as the author said, exposed slowly to the pain of the world. What does that do for human beings? During this pandemic, we've faced disappointment, isolation, educational challenges, frustration, and enormous disruption of nearly every routine, she writes. It's absolutely true. But at the same time, she reminds us that it's not just that there are good things happening in spite of the pandemic, but rather that there are good things happening during the pandemic. Wonderful things that have been able to inform us, even as we have struggled to continue to find solid ground underneath our feet. We have been forced, as Avram was, to leave everything that we knew and to go to ourselves, to reevaluate and re-identify and redefine those things that we assume will always be there, that we know to be constants and that we rely on. Just like Lech Lecha, maybe what God meant when God said to Avram, go forth from all these places. Yes, of course, Avram was sent out physically to go search for a new place, a place, as God said, that I will show you. But Lech Lecha, God said to Avram, not Lech mi beit avicha, mi moladetcha, go out of those places, but rather Lech Lecha mi beit avicha. Go to yourself from those places. Once you leave all that, you will begin the journey to you, Avram. Instead of focusing on that which is disappointing and isolating and challenging and frustrating and all those legitimate experiences that we've had, instead, the author asks, could this pandemic, in fact, make us resilient and strong, independent, creative, and flexible? Could it be that by going out from everything that we once knew, we find ourselves with the opportunity to become strong, to have those muscles flexed as we have been, at the gym for these 19 months, constantly working on figuring out a new normal? So, as we encounter all of this, as we look at the way that we live in a world which is completely changed, we've been forced to ask questions about our world, as Avram was. What is it that the land of my birth, my country, and my parents' home taught me? God asked Avram to think about. What are those fundamental beliefs, those values that will not go away, even as everything else around cannot stay the same? And Avram goes forth to become a person in relationship with God, Yud He Vav He. Avram's name is changed to Avraham as he is able to let God into his space in a very poignant and beautiful way, representing for us, maybe, what a departure from everything that we knew might allow for us. To look at the land, the place of our birth, and the homes that we kind of take for granted in normal times, to ask what fundamentally makes them a part of us, and to build a new identity based on that. So the author ends this beautiful article with these words, which I think, whether she's read Lech Lecha or not, seem directly a message that comes out of this week's Torah portion. She said that one of the lessons, or maybe the lesson, for all of us and for the next generation as we struggle with the challenges of this time, the great lesson is to recall that we can go through hard things and not be undone by them. And in fact, it has been our journey over these last many months to recognize the beauty in community, in helping. As I looked through some photo albums that I made when I had COVID, I had lots of time on my hands. So I made a number of photo albums, and the photo albums have been incredibly helpful to me because they're photo albums of this time, of the pandemic. As I look through them, thinking in my mind that this was a time of so much isolation and disappointment, I found actually beautiful pictures of walking on the beach with coats on, and of climbing trees, and of learning to bike ride, and of walking places in this city that I had never ever been before. And so the reality of what it means to go out from what I expected to be doing at this time was actually there in front of me in pictures. These lessons of God to Avram, Lech Lecha, go to yourself, to a new you. Me'artzecha mimoladetcha mi beit avicha, from your land, the place of your birth, and your parents' home, go to a new you, seems to speak directly to us on this Shabbat and in this year. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue with a celebration of wonderful things in our community, even during challenging times. We celebrate them and we give great praise to God who has given us life and sustained us. Are there celebrations in our community that anyone would like to share? Birthdays, great successes, anniversaries, finding something deep in your closet you thought you had lost. Anything like that? Great, Michael. Oh, well, thank you so much. Mazal tov to you guys on Matthew's arrival. Rabbi Traeger greeted Matthew apparently on the 8th day of his life, and Matthew does not want to see Rabbi Traeger again soon. Rabbi Traeger is awesome. I love him. It's a mutual admiration society, so thank you for sending those greetings. Yes, while the babies scream and the moms cry, the rabbis hang out and eat rugelach. We always love to hang out. Fun. I do the easy part, the naming part, and he does the hard part. Wonderful, mazel tov to you guys. Other celebrations in our community?
I
New
love,
people, visitors?
I
Please.
do love hearing our piano each week, but I think this is my Shehechianu. This is the first time I've actually heard the congregation singing. It's really wonderful to be at. It's wonderful to have the piano fill the space, and it's also wonderful to have your voices fill the space. So it's great to sing together in community.
Nice. We lured you in by telling you we were singers, and then
Great.
then we got rid of everybody and put masks on.
Well, just to surprise me with them coming back.
Yes, that is a great celebration. Not to put you on the spot, but I know we have at least one visitor tonight. Would you mind standing just to introduce yourself? If it is your first time at Shearith Israel, we would like to know who you are. Welcome. I told Jack that we're really friendly and we love visitors, so not to be freaked out by the creepy hellos from everybody. It's all good. It's all good. We're not harmful at all. I think everybody else has been here many times. So in honor, yes, Zach Migdal, you've been here many times. For generations, in fact. You're not going to let you get away with that one. We give thanks to God for giving us life and sustaining us and enabling us to reach this moment with these words of Shehechianu. Please stand.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen.
We turn to page 282 for Aleinu, it is upon us to make the world a place that we want to live.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. If you are observing Shiva or Shloshim, the first 7 or 30 days of mourning, please stand and share a name with us. May our memory be a blessing. Please remain standing. If you're observing the first year of mourning for a loved one, please stand and share a name with us as well. The perpetual memorials in our congregation are Dr. Elliot Eisenberg, Judy Migdal, Leon Mervis, Harold Weiss, and Joanne May Weiss. On this Shabbat, we also observe the yard sites of the following people. Please stand as your loved one's name is read. William Barron, Judith Levine Corin, Amo L. Etlin, Lindsay Farkas, Dr. Ian Sue Feldstein, Marion Goldine, Abraham Yobashvili, Ruth S. Joseph, Kenneth Lapin, Lenore Levin, Jean Cohen Manisberg, Walter Peroy Targoff, and Alex Vopin. If there are other yahrzeits we observe on this Shabbat, please stand and mention a name now. And for those of you who are joining us by live stream, please mention a name out loud wherever you are. Zichronam livracha, may the memory of the righteous be a blessing. We stand as one community with our mourners and turn to page 294 for Kaddish Yatom. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'almei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shemei de kudsha, brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, tamiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, Ve'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel. And we say together, amen. Please be seated. I did not grab one of those nifty little announcement cards, but I thank you. Okay, well, so I think, thank you. I know tomorrow morning, thank you so much, Sarah. Rabbi Phelps is leading Torah study at 9:15 on Zoom. We are hoping to be back in person soon, and we have a whole group of rabbinic scholars trying to understand what the city's new directive tells us to do. So far, those people are still in a cave trying to figure it out. So until then, we will be on Zoom, and you can feast appropriately in your own home. Looking forward on Saturday, October 30th. I believe this is the wrong time yet again. It's at 4:30, is that right?
4:30, yes. We will be leading into Havdalah. We have a concert with Omri Gallows and Tali Rubenstein and Angelo Spampinato. It's going to be a beautiful jazz trio, and then I'm going to lead a Havdalah afterwards. Please book tickets. It's going to be wonderful. Tickets are online, and you can access it through Under the Dome.
It's going to be fantastic, and it is not at this time. Lots of other really interesting stuff coming up, especially a couple of programs about Israel you can read about here at the beginning of November. What else?
That's it for now, yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
We do have a young adults event next Friday evening, 20s and 30s. That's the 22nd, right? Yes, 22nd, which is next Friday evening after services. It's a bit of a spooky spectacular, led by Talia Ben-Ari. There'll be cider and drinks, so 20s and 30s, please come along after services and join us.
It's going to be a cool crowd, and I've been told I'm not invited. So, exactly. Oh, are you off? Okay. Well, without further ado, then we will stand and lift a glass of wine for Kiddush, which can be found on page 5, as we sanctify this time and remind ourselves, as we always do, of the incredible blessing that is our freedom that allows us to be together.
Absolutely. Okay. Great. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. לחיים.
Chaim.
And we have here our beautiful challah, which looks a lot like the chalot each week, but I'm sure we have some beautiful chalot at home, and I'm sure Ruth has a challah waiting for her at home. What is it this week, Ruth? Sounds very almost treif, but sounds beautiful. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Just out of curiosity, how many of you, speaking of mi beit avicha, from wherever you came from, how many of you are cutters of challah versus rippers of challah?
It depends if there's dip.
Oh, there you go. Wait, that's like Vegemite?
Well,
you
no.
You mean to
Depends
say?
what you're spreading. You know, if it's avocado, you can't do that with tearing. But if it's like, you know, hummus, then it's okay to tear.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So how many of you are cutters? Like officially always cutters? Okay, yes, a few. Very polite.
Sure.
Of German descent, yes. And how many of you are rippers, like total pull it apart? Aha. And how many of you came from the crazy tradition, which is not from my family, but I have seen, where they throw it because you're never supposed to ask for challah? Have any of you seen this? Well, I had Shabbat dinner with actually some members of the congregation a long time ago, and apparently there's a tradition somewhere in some shtetl somewhere that you're supposed to throw it at people, because if you put your hands out, it's as if you are wanting for something on Shabbat. So I'm glad that that's only one family and nobody else. We'll conclude with Oseh Shalom.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Ya-da-da-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da, 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 Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Ya-da-da-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da, 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 ya-da-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da, ya-da-da-da-da-da-da, Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.